Hi there. Welcome to the Cosmic Fuel Pump. We are energizing our voyage home with delicious fuel for travel. You know, sometimes I think here at my table in the corner at Suzanne's, where we discuss all these sort of things like, why are we here? What makes it wonderful? Sometimes I personally think I have the whole world in my hands. Sometimes I think about doing this show and I think, gosh, have I got it all together? Will I do a good show? All these thoughts swirl in my mind, thoughts that feel important to me, feel important for all of us. Will I be able to be clear? Will I have a good day? Because I know that each individual act that any of us does can be important, is important. I quote often here from something called Conversations with John, where we get news from another dimension. John is a spirit who talks about each individual act of peacemaking and of lovemaking and of truth is as important as an act of peacemaking between nations. And that's how the bigger realms and the biggest picture, that's how it looks. This information comes from so many sources, and I don't know about you, but when it comes to me, I get shivers up my spine, which is always my true test. I mean, that's my barometer, that's my gyroscope. There's a truth to the truth. I mean, nothing works like the truth. So I know that each thing that we do, each little instance that we do can matter. So it matters to me that I do this job well. I am not from another planet. Now, I know there's been a little controversy out there. Somebody came up to me once after I was on stage, being the chairperson of something, and said, I just had this dream and this vision. Afterwards, she went home and had this dream and this vision that I'd come from another planet to organize the force. I was here to find the rest of us. Well, I don't know that that's untrue. I like the idea. I'm happy to take the job, happy to take the cosmic assignment. But I don't think I'm from elsewhere. I think I'm from where here is supposed to be. From deep within everything, where if we were as we were meant to be, we would feel ourselves as one. I think we got born into this whole thing to play this game. It's the human game. Everybody plays. Everybody wins. I mean, if you do it right. And you can't quit. So I think I'm just here facilitating. Delighted to take the job. How would you plan the takeover of the force if it were up to you? And maybe it is. I mean, what would you do? That's what we're going to talk about today. What would everybody have to understand to have the world working peacefully, harmoniously, better? How would you create it? Why wouldn't you? Is there a better job? I don't know one. I don't understand why we're still being so sloppy and taking life so trivially. Somebody said to me the other day, The Deer Hunter was on television, and somebody said, what's the point? What's the applicability? What do you get out of that Russian roulette in The Deer Hunter, playing so trivially with life? And instantly I flashed on to a very homely example. I did not have to be in Vietnam. So here's the example. I visited some friends, and a lady very pregnant with twins was there, whom I know. And she was perhaps a month away from delivery, and she was trotting around. So happens I have twins. So I have a little expertise in this category. And I know that when I had my twins, they put me to bed 6 weeks before they were born, and I couldn't even have a pillow. I had to lay flat. And the reason for that was, lie flat? Experts. The reason for that was that there's pressure on twins, and they frequently are born prematurely. And to take the pressure off and to give them their best chance at life, they lie or lay you down, depending on how good your English is. So I said, do they still do this? And she said, oh, yes. I said, so how come you're not doing it? So she said, well, I don't have any discipline. Oh, my dear. It was life or death. Of course, everything is, but that was more graphic. Life or death. No discipline. If they'd said her life was in danger for the ensuing month, think she would have gone to bed? Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe we should have had no discipline. Why, though? This is all we have, you know. In this incarnation, we're going to be talking a little bit today about realms beyond this one. But listen, each realm, you get what you get. And in this one, you get this, you know. So why not honor it? Why not really celebrate it? Why not make it all that it can be? So how are we going to pull this plug on anything that exists other than oneness, love? How are we going to pull the plug on anything that's separation, anything that keeps us at odds with one another, at war with one another? We've talked a lot on the show about all of this. Listen to any of the other shows, you'll get the answer. But we're kind of zeroing in. Last week, we talked about how to think enlightenment, and I had all the members of my household on for their brief solo star turn. And we have a little Garden of Eden experiment. If you haven't seen the show before, we're trying to really create it at our house. How can people live together in absolute peace? And we're looking for other people who are trying to do that too. So if you resonate to this, you call me up. My number will be on at the end of the program. Get a pencil now. Get ready. And we'd like to hear from you. I'd like to know you. That's really what the show is mostly here for, to find the rest of us. 2 or more are gathered in the name. All there is to do is to find one another and be love, be the example together, and then kind of swallow the rest of the world. The truth has that power. So where was I? My friends were on. So last week we were talking about how to think enlightenment. So once you kind of get the idea what it's all about and what it's about to be loving and awake and peaceful, what are you going to do that's right to the point, at the point, like now? Okay, I'm going to give you some tips. So my first tip relates to this button I'm wearing, which says, "Are you for real?" You have to be for real. Now, what's for real? For real is yourself. What's yourself? Yourself is no act, no pretense, no story. I don't have to wonder who's in there. You're just naked. You're naked in the garden, you know, making it up. You are who you are the next moment and the next moment, not your past and your story and your history. We take a risk. We don't stand on our laurels or what we know or what we pretend. We stand there naked and we look at one another. Real. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is what happens at every moment where you stand at a point of choice. You want to go this way or this way? Now, let me tell you what I'm talking about. Somebody was over the other night, and he had an interesting act. Well, it was an act. Here's what happened. He said, "Oh, I want it all. I want love. I want peace. I want all of it, 100%. Well, did he come to the right place, right? So we took his case. And here's what happened. Something would happen. He would say something. He would introduce a problem. And we would say, well, what we see is, or whatever. We weren't pretentious about it. It was a real nice conversation. It was wonderful. It was real loving. It was real friendly. We were really serving him, and because he asked. And we were good that night. We really were. Everybody was tuned in that night. It was a wonderful night. And so we would say, well, it looks to us like so-and-so. And then instantly he would launch off into a long story about why he was doing that particular thing, which wasn't working, why he had always done it, why it was impossible not to do it, what the whole history of it was. And finally, after a few times, we said, wait a minute. Are you for real? No, you have a point of choice. You're going that way. Go this way. That way is the past. That way is dead. That way is over. That way is yesterday's news. That way is problems. That way is stories, acts. This way is who knows, but we'll make it up. We'll make it work. We'll create it to work. Now, every moment of your life, you can decide right now that this is the only direction you go. May I tell you that is the only decision you will ever have to make? Let me think. Is that true? I think it's true. I'm open for hearing other decisions, but I think that's the most important decision. Once you decide to go into the creative, to go into the future, to go into the naked, to go into the who knows, to go into, I will make love, I will make life, I will make reality. Not I will stand on my position. The minute you decide to go that way, you're going to win. You've only got win in your sights. That's all there is. So what are you waiting for? What am I waiting for? Let's remind each other, which is the next point. What you can do is go that way, and what you can also do is tell people who are going this way. Say, no, no. Be a friend. Don't let death live before you. It doesn't do anybody any good. Reach out. In fact, if you can get a bunch of friends with whom you can make a pact to do this all the time so that you don't even have to do it on eggshells, so that you don't have to be nervous that somebody's going to say, one way or another, which people have been saying to me all my life. You know, well, I suggest that also. That's another piece of the formula. Get friends who are really clear, and you'll be clear also. You'll help each other go the right direction. You'll remind each other when you forget. Some of us wonderful beings, still have our blind spots. All of us do. In fact, if any of us didn't, I think that we'd have the message for everybody else. But we're in it together. We're figuring it out together. Get good friends. What else? Use adversity, says my next note. This is this week's hot news for me. Absolute hot, hot, hot news. It has changed my life yet again. For instance, I'll give you an example. Somebody is ripping me off. We'll just cut to the heart of the matter. We won't tell you the story. Somebody's ripping me off. Okay, so I get this letter in the mail. Uh-oh, got his name on it. Am I banging on my microphone? Oh, whatever. Should make a terrible noise. That's what my instinctive reaction is. I have made a different choice, however. I go, oh, no. I'm going to use this to get high. I'm going to use everything that threatens to sock me. Instead of receiving the blow and falling down, I'm going to stand there and get bigger than the blow so I can't even feel it. I read his letter. You see, the minute I make that choice, it doesn't hit me anymore. I open the letter and I'm free because I know I'm going that way. I made the prior choice. I don't have to be scared anymore. I'm only going towards the light. So how can the dark do anything to me? So I read the letter. I wrote a brilliant answer. It was an excellent answer. And you know something? Life's not about saving your money. Life's about being excellent. That's what makes you feel good. If somehow miraculously I saved my money in all of this, and I did it from, I don't know, all kinds of ways that wouldn't have made me feel tremendously good, I would have liked to get the money back. But let's say I can't get the money back. Let's say that. It happens, yeah. Well, what then? Do I go down the tubes? And how do I avoid that? I avoid that by excellence, by my excellence. My excellence is impenetrable. I can't be better than my excellence, whatever it is. So this letter was my excellence. Now you can do that every time life threatens, and I suggest you do. It's been incredibly valuable for me. I'll talk about this more as the weeks go on. Here's a couple of quotes. One of my friends said, my friend named Jackie Holly, wonderful, enlightened being, said, always do the things you fear the most. Courage is an acquired taste like caviar. I don't know if Jackie wrote that or just passed it along to me, but I love it. Terry Cole Whitaker, who is a very humane minister who's preaching on Sunday mornings on television. If she's in your area, watch her. She's good. Every time fear appears, you have the opportunity to not choose fear, but to choose love. Yay! Now, what else? Do I have time for a couple of other fast points? And then I want to get on to the extraterrestrials. The show is about to take a position. Now, I advocate no positions. What can I tell you? The show's about to take a position. My position is that we're in this jam here on planet Earth together. Let's help each other out. Let's look at selling our knowledge. Let's look at an incredible mess and our willingness to charge $50 an hour for some help to clean it up. Between one another, between nations, wherever. Now, a lot of questions you could ask about this. If you invest money, you have to charge money, blah, 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 blah. But there's a general principle going on where knowledge is a commodity. I don't think so. Any brilliant people who have real insight don't don't put it in a training program and charge a tremendous amount for it. I know that's a service, but there are higher services, I believe. It's my position. It's my restaurant, So sue me. Another thing I want to say, that just kind of a basic thing to say in this whole category of what we can do to really make it happen, is I carry a notebook. I write down all my highest thoughts, which is somehow the creation talking to me. Some of us are receivers now. We've talked about this on the show before. If you've been pricked by the knowledge, and you know if that's you, write it down when it's the clearest. And then, well, what I do is I edit my material so I get to really study it. And I do it with Max, my producer on this show, who's an enlightened being. And so we get to really hone in on what enlightenment's all about. I want to suggest that for you also. Carry a notebook, work with it, work with friends with it if you will. Now, don't just let this go in one ear and out the other. Carrying that notebook changed my life. Again, that was one of the earlier huge changes. From not really knowing what I knew, I know now. I do. I share it with you on this program. You share it back with me. I'll put your stuff in my notes too, and then I'll send them to you, which I am happy to do. The information about how to get my material flashes at the end of the program also. It's called The Cosmic Fuel Pump, an intimate diary, how I get sane in a crazy world, and I'll send it to you, my nickel. Love to share it with you. Now, I want to go to the, I forgot to show you something. Oh, it's so cute. I want to show you now. Here's a picture of me. I want to tell you how fast the world can change, in case you think it can't happen. Like some people say, oh, the world is in too much trouble. It will take too long. Well, this is a picture of me when I was 16 years old in summer stock. And the scandal at the time was that bikinis had come in. And the question was whether bikinis were going to be outlawed on the beaches in Connecticut, which is where I was at the time in summer stock. And they got me to pose for this picture. This is before bikini and this is after bikini. Shocking, isn't it? Well, look how times can change. I mean, just look. If you can't get it from this example, I got 12 others. But we can get it in our lifetime. Now, next, the high octane hit of the week is what we're going to go to now, which is something that's not me, that we'll talk about what's going on and help share with you what the eternal truths are. And what we're going to talk about this week is this wonderful painting here. Can you all see it? I'll take this down so the camera can get the best view. And where this painting came from, it's a very interesting story. And I have a guest with me this week to talk about it. She's somebody I've known a long time. I've known her real well. I want to show you something else, which is her at age about, 1965, which meant she was three? Three? Doesn't she look older than that? Well, she's always looked older, which is why she's only 12 now and looks so mature. And here we are together, Dana and I, a little Christmas shy. This is my daughter, Dana. Hi, sweetheart.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would you like to tell the folks where we were when this painting got created, blow their minds and let them change their image of reality?
We were at an amazing event. The event was prefaced. We were supposed to go see a painter who painted like the great masters. That was the introduction. Amorphous thing, and I thought, great, on a sideshow, what? So where
are we, sweetheart? We have to find a camera. We just had a camera, folks. We just keep talking. Okay. We don't know what camera we're on, but aren't we fun?
So.
Oh, here we are, Dana. Look, I see lights.
Hi again. So we went to this thing, which was happening in Santa Monica somewhere. We had no idea who was going to be there, how many people, who this person was. We walked into a gathering, and it still didn't look like anything special. There were, I guess, about 40 or 50 people around, and there was a table, and this man sitting at the table who didn't command that much interest then. I mean, who would have looked at him other than he was sitting down? People were milling around, and then the woman who was responsible for bringing him there called everyone's attention and said, "This is Luis Gasparetto," and he is. Did she say what he was then?
Who knows?
Okay, well, she introduced him, Luis Gasparetto. He is now going to paint like the great masters. The great masters are going to paint through him. So I thought to myself, great, the great masters are going to paint through Luis, and with a lot of satire behind that.
Skepticism up the kazoo. Everybody in the room going,
Mirrors, practice, oil pastels,
tricks,
right? Electric things. And then we were told he was going to go into his trance. Well, he started to speak, and he's very quiet. He said, when I'm in my trance, I don't want anyone to move or speak or whatever. And I'm beginning to think, not only is this ridiculous, but it's inconvenient. I can't fidget. I'm going to sit. So I sat as comfortably as I could, prepared to have this experience, prepared to find out how it wasn't true. I was there to see how it wasn't true.
That was everybody.
So he sat at the table, and the woman moved away from him, and everybody was seated and with their various ideas about what was going to happen. And there was paper in front of him, large sheets of like schoolroom paper, and oil pastels, a box of oil pastels. And so he put on some music. He got silence. He put on some music, and he put his head down on the desk. And the music was going on, and the more music was going on, I'm going, great, a trance, wonderful. We're going to get to see this thing. A lot of skepticism. So then, after he had been down like a couple of minutes, he reached out without looking. I'm going to try to approximate some of his movements, and picked up a pastel. He didn't know what color it was. Well, he didn't see what color it was with his eyes. And to the music, he started to move the pastel. And sometimes he would be in great rapture, and other times he would be in great pain, and sometimes he'd be looking, but not looking like I'm looking, like something else was looking through him. Of course, I was thinking great actor or something. But then, as he went on to do, he must have done 12?
Got 12 pastels, and he went to oils.
Yeah, he went 12 pastels. He would go on, and there would be a line there, and who knew what this was? And we were looking and thinking, what is going on here? And then suddenly there'd be another line, and those were the eyes.
This is one of the simple ones that we're showing you today. He did many, many more complicated ones than this, and it took about 5 minutes each. Yeah,
completely unrehearsed. I mean, the rehearsal is just not a word you use about this. So he would go on and move them, and he would just know when they were complete, and they were complete. And then he reached down. What was he getting? And he picked up a tube of oil paint, and he spread it all over his hands, and he began to do this thing to try to convey how much this was not trickery is impossible, except to just say to you, this was not trickery. In any way.
They were all different masters that he painted, a Picasso, a Rembrandt, a Modigliani, a Renoir. Well, I'm a painter, so I kind of know these things.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And there they were.
Oh my God. Like this with the oil paints. Mush, mush, the oil paints.
Oil paints with his hands and mush, 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 right.
A Renoir. Oh my God.
One thing to add, he's been doing this for a long time. He has to stamp the back of everything he does with a thing saying this was done by Louise Gasparetto. And not created by whatever, it was done on this date. Because when he first began to do this, 12 of his things were stolen and sold as originals.
Yes, they were amazing. Shall I give the point of it all?
They were extraordinary. You give the point.
Okay.
I give the
He said when it was over, that they talked to him too. There are 50 of them on the other side, and they've gotten together. And they've gotten together to give humanity a message. See, I'm getting chills up my spine now. And the message is that it doesn't end here, that we keep evolving, and that in fact, their work with him is their evolution. They're learning how to use him. That's their evolution. And so the ones who have been dead a long time paint through his something or other in the back of his head very subtly. The ones who have been dead a short time move his hands very grossly. Toulouse-Lautrec is the mouthpiece. He's the one they all talk to. This picture you saw was his Toulouse-Lautrec. So if you think that this game, you can get by in this game of life sloppy, because, well, it's just this trip, forget it. It will haunt you forever. That's the message they want to get across. Pay attention. Wake up. It's an eternal game. Do it well, now or never. Do we have any more in particulars? Any more that you think of?
Not that I can think of.
Well, it was an amazing experience. See, wherever Dana goes and wherever I go, they say to us, So she's my witness. Oh, I meant to say at the beginning I was going to put you on the witness thing. I forgot. Yeah, right. To say, this is the witness. It happened, folks. We were there. There was no trick. We were this close to it.
Perhaps one thing to add is we had a discussion afterwards. We got to speak. Everybody could ask their questions. And the caliber of questions, do you remember what they were?
What kind of paint do you use?
Yeah. What color is that?
oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Oh, yeah. God. Oh, God. Well, I call that an experience of the presence of God, and my life has never been the same since. That did change me also. I couldn't be the same afterwards, It's the truth. So let's get it together, folks. Let's see. We've used up a lot of time. Do I have time for my wonderful message? Yeah, I think I'll try it. Messages from Central is our last department, which is where we tell you some wonderful, wise things that people other than myself have said. And this comes from a wonderful group called the UV family. We will talk about them some more as the show goes on. This supports what I was saying in the beginning, that you really can go this way. You can just choose to go this way. In fact, you must. You know, this game was created to work. We just had to figure out the rules and how to do them. So this group, who call themselves Transformative Agents, there's 4 of them. They've been doing it for 13 years, traveling around in an outrageous bus. And they call themselves God's eyes and ears on the scene. They're just there to help. Whatever needs help, they do it. So in this yearly newsletter that they sent out, they said some wonderful things I'm going to read you. There's an assumption floating around that in order to move to a new level of consciousness or to break through barriers, one must go through a lengthy procedure of growth, self-examination, insight, emotional ups and downs. In short, a difficult process. I'm going to skip and choose in here. If you follow the evolution of a feeling, for a time you experience anger, hurt, outrage, betrayal, resentment, then eventually you forgive and forget. Another way to say this is that after a process of working with the feeling, you let it go. Once you've navigated a few of these sorts of processes, you notice that no matter how long and difficult the process is, in the end, you make a choice. You choose to forgive, forget, and get on with living. With that much acknowledged, you then see that actually in every moment preceding the choice to let go, you are actually choosing to hold on. Tell me you ain't doing nothing. There is no length of time that an emotion must persist. And at no time must we suffer grief, anger, jealousy, fear, etc., no matter what the circumstances. And they go on to say, the realm of spirit is total space, limitless, and always miraculous. To say that one is in process of growing more spiritual makes no sense. In the dimension of spirit, there is no time or space for process to move through. Choice seems to be the only available mode. So why is it that when we were talking about personal growth or spiritual transformation or changing planetary consciousness, there's such a tendency to be in process when choice is all it takes? If love and enlightenment are what we want, and if all we need to do is choose it, why don't we? Might it be that we don't want to assume the responsibility that being love implies? That would mean no more excuses, no more room for goofing off or messing up, no more saying I'm not ready yet. I need to do more spiritual work first. I need to go to this training seminar. I need to meditate more regularly. No more saying, but I'm getting better. Now is the only time to choose love, choose life, choose enlightenment, choose to be accountable. Now, I would like you folks to call me up. If you know what I'm talking about, send for my written material. I'd love to send it to you. Have a Suzanne party. I'll bring myself, my friends, and my tape. Call me up and invite me. And if you want to send me your smarts, you can win a day in the garden if we like them. So it's time to open up this here restaurant now. Time for the folks to come in and talk about all this delicious food for thought at Suzanne's. You have a good week. Talk good amongst yourselves. And remember, this way. Bye. Call to find out when the Cosmic Fuel Pump will be on next week, and call or write if you want me to send you a copy of my written notes.